Xbox is going to dominate Sony in the next generation. I think that it's kind of like the writing is on the wall. If you look at what Microsoft has achieved, especially with the Series S cost less than $300, and that's the pricing point that we've had for the Series S since the start of the so-called next gen or current console generation, which is so strange because people are still playing PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 4 is still getting tons of great games. But Xbox, what they've done is they've created something so intriguing with Game Pass. Initially, I didn't pay much attention to Game Pass, but right now, Game Pass is honestly one of the best values in gaming, where you can go and you can find many of the latest games that the day one and play them. If you look at what Sony has done, doesn't have a lot of next gen games coming out on the PlayStation 5. When I say next gen, not I mean exclusive next gen games. Most of the games, really next gen, because if you can find it on the PlayStation 4, then how the hell is it next gen? I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong at all. If you can find it on the like God of War Valhalla was on the PlayStation 4. If you can find God of War, and it looked just as good. It looked just as good. They were virtually indistinguishable. So when you take this into consideration, if you can find God of War on the PlayStation 4, why the heck would you pick up? And it looks almost identical to the PlayStation 5 version. Why would you even pick up a PlayStation 5? There's very little reason to pick up a PlayStation 5 right now, other than the fact that you can no longer buy a PlayStation 4 unless you can pick one up secondhand. And it's the latest console out in terms of PlayStation. Aside from that, there's really no reason to pick one up. With Xbox, you can pick up an Xbox S Series S right now in a lot of places for $250, and that'll get you 3 months of Game Pass. So that works out to really about $219 for the console itself. And then you have Game Pass, and with Game Pass, you get access to tons of great games, many of them day one, and you don't have to purchase these games. You can download them directly to your Xbox. You can play them, and you get a good enough experience. Most people, are like, okay, well, what about 4K? 4K is not the end all be all experience. You know, I think it's like 1440p that you can play a lot of Xbox Series S games at, even if it was 1080p. But 1440p is pretty damn good. I mean, it's like, why would you even bother at this point? You're getting the same experience. And it's like for much, and it costs less. I think that Sony has screwed up. There's like a total of what, 5 exclusive games entirely for the PlayStation 5. Like, it's been a bad generation. And there's, with the exception of Ratchet and Clank that came out at the beginning of the PlayStation 5 generation, we haven't really seen a lot of games that show us anything different from PlayStation 4 that say, okay, hey, check this out. This is what PlayStation 5 can do. On the other hand, we have games like Starfield on the Xbox. And Starfield, say what you want, it's a pretty good looking game. It's a pretty good looking game, and it does something different. And while a lot of people are not, like, hey, it's not Skyrim, it's something. And I truly think that the next generation for Microsoft is going to be it's going to be insane. Think about this. I do think that it's possible we could get Skyrim in the next generation, which is frightening because it's like Skyrim in the next generation. You're like where it's one of those things where you're like not even sure because it's something that'll take 10 years to develop. So like we're not even sure if we'll even get Skyrim in the next generation. It could be this generation or it could be the generation after this generation. But I think it's possible we could get Skyrim in the next generation. We could get Skyrim. We can get probably a new Fallout game. Obviously, Call of Duty, and it's not just that. There's a ton of other games. I mean, Microsoft owns Activision now, so all of those games, all of those series, that would be coming out, cross-platform, and they're still going to remain cross-platform. They're still going to be on PlayStation 5, but our PlayStation 6 when the next generation comes out. But the real interesting thing is that those games undoubtedly are going to be on Game Pass. So imagine, oh, why would I have to worry about anything? I'll just play Skyrim on Game Pass. You know, I'll get it day one. I don't have to do anything else. I have my Game Pass subscription, and it's kind of neat. Game Pass is kind of cool in this way where you know you can pay for it when you want to pay for it, and don't pay for it when you don't want to pay for it. And this is a flexibility I really like. You're not going to lose all of your saves. You can just basically cancel it if you no longer need it. And because sometimes in our lives as men, we just stop playing games. You know, there are periods of time where we just stop playing games, and we basically say, yeah, we're just we're doing something else. So you cancel Game Pass and let it sit there, but all of your saves are there. And then when you want to play games again, you just turn around and you renew your Game Pass subscription. And of course, there are some people who are going to say, well, what about, having the luxury of being able to just play your games when you want to play your games without a Game Pass subscription? You're right. You're absolutely right. But keep in mind, in that scenario, you would have to have had spent, let's say, $70 on just one of those games. Just a handful of those games, and that's a couple $100 right there. I think that this is definitely going to be so much more prominent. Like it's going to make it's such a bigger deal. And then on top of that, not only are we seeing first party games from Microsoft going straight to Game Pass, and again, like I said, there's the whole Activision Blizzard thing where those are now first party titles because Microsoft owns that company. But you have a lot of third party titles going straight to Game Pass. I mean, guys, I do think Final Fantasy Re- Rebirth is going to be coming to obviously PC. Like the sales on PlayStation are not good so far. They're not good, and I do think we're going to see the PC version and even an Xbox version pop up sooner down the road. But I mean, just imagine if Final Fantasy Rebirth went straight to Game Pass. I don't think it will. I don't think it will, but that's something to think about in the future, where you have smaller games, or because there's a lot of amazing RPGs, a lot of just great games in general, and just imagine when you have a lot of these games that'll just go straight to Game Pass. And I don't know what Microsoft is doing. Well, I know what they're doing. They're negotiating behind closed doors. They pay something up front to these developers and the developer to get the game on Game Pass, and it's clear that it's been very profitable for a lot of developers. Very profitable. I mean, just imagine, you develop a game like Pal World, and Microsoft says, "Hey, listen, we're going to pay you this amount of money to put your game on this platform. Put your game on our platform." And what's really interesting about this is the amount of money Microsoft pays you essentially covers the development cost of the game. So you're like, what? I just covered my entire cost of development. The game will still be, I'm still going to make money off the licensing, you know. So because I'm pretty sure Microsoft, just like how people, companies make money from licensing their stuff on Netflix, they're still making money after they license it on Game Pass. So I'm gonna make all the money back that I spent making the damn thing, and I'm gonna make money from fees, having it on Game Pass, and I'm going to be selling it on other platforms like the PlayStation 5, like Steam, you know, and even the Nintendo Switch or whatever the next Nintendo platform is. So I'm going to have all of these options. Yeah, that's a damn good option for me. That's an incredible option. On the other hand, you look at the PlayStation 5 and so what Sony's doing, and even the PlayStation 6, and you say, what the hell is this? Like, if Sony has no games coming to the PlayStation 5 until 2025 at earliest, then why the hell would anyone want to pick up a PlayStation 5? Or and then what does that really spell for the PlayStation 6? I think that Xbox is going to dominate Sony in the next generation when it comes to Game Pass, especially because of Game Pass. It just has it just has a better service. The Xbox controller is also, I think it might be better than the PlayStation. It's at least as good. It's they have a great controller. They have a great controller, and the service is good. Now, does Game Pass spell good things for the future? Well, we're going towards a future where we will own nothing and be happy. That's the message we've gotten. But putting this aside, I do think that we definitely have some things to look forward to when it comes to next generation and the prospects of being able to, oh, I can play Skyrim day one. I can play Fallout day one. I don't have to invest all of this money into these titles. For some people, there's some gamers, they collect games and they think they're gonna take it with them. I love watching Spawn Wave, and it's like some of the things that John says does resonate with me. But as a man, the way I look at life right now is I've purchased a lot of games on the Nintendo Switch. Most of my games are digital. All of my games are digital at this point. All of the games I own are digital. And that's been very important for me because it's allowed me to be able to, no matter what's happened in my life, have access to my games. There was a point a couple of years ago where I had to leave my Nintendo Switch behind. I had to move, and I just wasn't able to take it with me. I know you're like, what? You couldn't just put it with you? I had to leave everything behind, and I had to leave my Nintendo Switch behind. And because all of my games are digital, I was eventually just able to disconnect my account and all the games I purchased from that original Switch and then transfer it over to my new Switch. And I have my entire history, I have my entire library. And it's like, I'm so happy about that. Like, holy cow. I got a Switch OLED. Love the Switch OLED. I don't play it as much as I want to, much as I should. But I have a Switch OLED. And it's absolutely fantastic. And it's like, I have Steam, and I've been buying this is something that a lot of people do. Steam has been around since evidently 2005, right around there. Sometimes some like are accepting games, allowing people to publish their games, and other companies to publish their games on Steam, because since like 2005, somewhere around there. And it's amazing because you can, games that you purchased 20 years ago or almost 20 years ago on Steam, you can still access them. And I think that's really, really telling. I have a Steam Deck. I have the Steam Deck OLED. Another thing, and I don't play my Steam Deck OLED enough, but the fact that I can, just even play my games on it is just like astounding to me. That I can play my games so easily on my Steam Deck, and I feel like this is just another reason why PlayStation, why Sony's in hot water, and then the PlayStation is no longer an affordable console. When I was growing up, we had the greatest hits collection, and with the greatest hits collection on the PlayStation 2, within, and I think it was on the PlayStation 1 as well, within like the same year, you could go, like for example, I think, don't quote me on this. I think when I purchased Final Fantasy VII, it may have already been a greatest hits title. I think it became one. And this happened maybe in like the same year that it came out. And with the greatest hits games, you could pick up a lot of greatest hits games for like $20. You heard me right. $20. And keep in mind, this is an era where games cost $50 when they first came out, and then they would go down to, they would slash $30 off this, and you could pick up the game for $20. Oh, you want to play God of War? Okay, you can pick up God of War for $20. The game came out for 50, and within like a couple of months after it came out, and they got the initial flow, of sales, then you could pick it up for $20. And these were high budget games. These were beautiful games, well designed games. And guys, these companies are full of crap. They're full of crap. You know, these games were produced 20 years ago, and you can see the production value in there. And now these companies are saying, "Oh, it costs so much to develop the games," and it's greed, guys. It is greedflation. It is greedflation. They did not have the technology available to them that they have today. I mean, you have people developing games like Pal World with Unreal, and you can purchase a lot of your assets today. They have all these tools available to them they did not have in the past. And they're just making it up as they go along because they're desperate for money. Sony is desperate. They're so desperate. They're no longer. It's no longer about making games, that people enjoy, people want to play, and creating deals and opportunities for the gamer. No, it's about getting as much money as you possibly can, milking the consumer for as much as you can. It's what they're doing with fast food right now. It's what they're doing. It's what they're doing in so many industries, except for Steam. Steam, you can go to Steam and you just continually find very good deals at Steam. And and Steam, this is another video I want to make, but Steam really has a dark horse going for it. There could be seriously a Steam console next generation. Okay, a Steam console. We will have a Steam Deck and a Steam console, and I feel like if Steam comes along, it would kind of fill it would kind of fill the gap that Sega left when Sega left, when Sega exited the gaming industry. I feel like they kind of have that vibe a little bit, maybe the dark colors or whatever. But I feel like, dark colors like the Sega Genesis. But I feel like Steam is maybe a dark horse looming. But yeah, guys, I think Xbox is going to dominate Sony in the next generation. What do you guys think regarding this? I want to know your thoughts on this. So let's talk about it in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.